Well, that ending was certainly something, wasn't it? I'm John Retton with my review of AEW Dynamite Winter is Coming! And that sounds so goddamn gross, but in all honesty, I'm actually very impressed with what AEW did because it only took them 14 months being on TNT television to turn to late 98, early 1999 WCW. That ending, oh boy, am I going to get into that ending a little bit later, but I'm pretty certain I'm probably going to have some controversial takes, but maybe you guys did like it, maybe you didn't like it. Please let me know what you guys have to say in the comments. But there so many run-ins, so much shenanigans, just so much sloppiness about some of the endings to these matches. I understood they're trying to build some good stories here, and they got a few good storylines going on, but it's the way they went about it. It didn't really benefit. I don't really want to see too many of these stories continue. And I'll get into that in the Battle Royal, but just so much of the show, there was so much missed potential. There was some good, though. I will have some praise. It's a very cruel winter, leaving me here on my own. And we have the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal. Here are the members that I wrote down. If I missed anybody, I do apologize. I had to write them down really quick because they were around the ring, not, doing the reverse Battle Royal thing, getting in the ring and then being tossed out, because this is not TNA/Impact Wrestling. At least it wasn't at first. Anyway, Private Party, Sean Spears, Scorpio Sky, Matt Sydal, Miro, Page, Adam Page, that is, Hangman Page, as JR says, Joey Janela, Orange Cassidy, Inner Circle members Wardlow, MJF, and Sammy Guevara. Chaos Project, Luther, and Serpentico. Why is Luther allowed to be in a match at all? He can't fucking work. Dark Order members, I believe Silver and Reynolds. I think 10 might have been in there. I'm not totally sure. I think it was just Silver and Reynolds. Matt Hardy, Jungle Boy, Kip Sabian, and Lee Johnson. And look, there's some good talent here. Some green talent, but some talent that has potential. There's also some, there are some legends. There are some people who should not be in the ring anymore. Matt Hardy and Luther. And I'm including Matt Hardy there because I'm very worried Matt Hardy is not going to be walking by next year. So, right as this match starts, they're outside the ring, they run in the ring, and then they suddenly cut to an MJF pre-tape. Why didn't you just have that open the show? And then, here are the guys around the ring. It was a weirdly formatted show. And MJF's like, when I win, it's not going to be my ring, it's going to be our ring. And Sammy looked like he wanted to punch him. MJF, Sammy, and Wardlow are outside to start. And JR mentions Pat Patterson, who just recently passed away. And, well, he would have loved all the young men and all the young ring boys around ringside. But there ain't any ring boys where he's going to be at. And I don't fucking apologize one goddamn bit for that. First ever Intercontinental Champion, that alley street fight with Sergeant Slaughter. And, all the great moments he had teaming with Ray Stevens and all the ring boys and all the other stuff and everything. So yeah, I don't have a fucking bit of sympathy for the guy. I don't. And I don't care who hates me for that. I don't fucking care. Because you can appreciate the career, but let's be honest, guys. Let's be fucking honest. Anyway, Sky tosses Spears out, and then Spears manages to eliminate Sky a little bit later. That feud's going to continue, hopefully with a little bit better building than they did on Dark. And then we get Page in the Dark Order. The last thing we need is Adam Page to be part of the Dark Order. They do save him at one point, which did lead to a nice buckshot lariat spot. And then Matt, keeps on, saving himself and eliminating people. He even eliminated Private Party. That was actually a pretty good moment. Well, actually eliminated Isaiah Cassidy. And then Mark Quinn got eliminated by Miro. Now, Miro had a pretty good showing, eliminating a whole bunch of people. And then had a face-off with Wardlow. And then it's down to Jungle Boy, MJF, Sammy, and Wardlow. But Orange Cassidy actually was out at ringside. MJF accidentally eliminates Sammy along with Jungle Boy. Meant to just eliminate Jungle Boy. And then Orange Cassidy wasn't eliminated. And then Wardlow gets eliminated by Orange Cassidy. So goodbye, Wardlow. You don't fucking mean anything anymore. Losing to this goddamn idiot. And I know Orange Cassidy has his fans and I don't fucking care. It's a fucking joke that Wardlow is having to, sell anything for that guy. So anyway, it's MJF versus Orange Cassidy next week. Just take the diamond ring and throw it in the trash. I like AEW. I do. I like some of this match. I like that they were featuring Miro. Not in a feud about the arcade game. That wasn't even plugged in. It was all hollowed out. And, there were some good moments. I like the storytelling with the Inner Circle. But goddammit, stop with the stuff with Orange Cassidy. The novelty wore off about 3 weeks into his act. Now, that's just my opinion. Other people may feel different. Anyway, Miro and Kip go back to stare down the best friends. You've got to give the people what they want. And then we get Kazarian and Chris Jericho with Hager, Santana, or I believe just Santana. I'm not sure if Ortiz is there. Jericho is wiped out. He looks like shit. He should not be wrestling anymore. He fucking looks so goddamn wiped out. just focusing solely on his wrestling career. He has totally torpedoed it. He can't do anything anymore. Later, great flux capacitor callback to his TNA spots, or his TNA, run by Kazarian. That was some really good stuff. Actually had a really good match against Christian and then faced Kurt Angle for the TNA Championship a little bit later in 07. That was really good. The interference was ass. We had MJF, it's like, oh, he's coming out, he's going to throw the towel in because Jericho's locked in the Boston Crab, but Sammy stops him, and then Jericho sees him with the towel. It's like, what are you doing? And then manages to hit the juice effect. This was really sloppy, and I'm disappointed because Kazarian was doing some good stuff. And Kazarian, yes, is older, than a lot of people on the roster, but Kazarian can still go. Jericho fucking can't. And then Jericho's like, the ultimatum, either we work together or we break up forever. Watch MJF just take over the inner circle and oust Jericho. Watch that happen. Marvez interviews the Bucks. They cannot cut a promo to save their goddamn lives. Or lives, whatever. They're extra lives. There we go. They're getting the mushrooms from Mario to, gain extra lives and hopefully extra ACLs because Matt apparently is not doing too well. I hope that he can actually continue to wrestle because knee injuries like that, no goddamn joke. And they're going to face a hybrid too. Here's the Acclaimed, Bowens and Caster. Caster raps a bit, and this was actually pretty damn good. I'm glad to see the Acclaimed being featured on Dynamite. And then Hybrid 2 attacked them, and then SCU run them off. This is not the only backstage bullshit that we're going to get tonight. Let me just make it clear that I like the Acclaimed and I like SCU, and Hybrid 2 aren't bad, but they're a very bland team. The Bucks are not the best tag team in the world, in my opinion. And then we get Britt with Reba versus Layla Hirsch. Layla Hirsch impressed me with that Shimmer 118 show, Shimmer at the Collective, and she has impressed me since. Easy for me to say. Layla is very good. Legit, Layla Hirsch does fit her. Britt, besides a tooth and nail match, I gotta say that Britt actually does really good character work. Reba, it's sad that Reba has to pretend that she can't wrestle, because Reba actually can wrestle. I'm not saying she's great, but she can wrestle. Layla is quite good. I was shocked this went through a break, though. I think they should have timed this a little bit better. But hey, at least they gave the women a little bit of time. I can't complain about that. Layla did do a dive, and Reba hit into the barricade because Britt pulled her in the way. We get some nice submission moves. But then we get an awkward non-cover where Layla's selling. We get a distraction and a lockjaw for the win. Should have used the gloves still. I mean, we are in the middle of a pandemic, especially in Florida. But it was what it was. Thunder Rosa then suddenly attacks Britt Baker. They're continuing that feud. Thunder Rosa can get a great match out of just about anybody. And Britt, even though she, still has a little bit of ways to go in the ring, I think this could be good. Keep the interference light. Have a tag match. They're obviously going to have a tag match because Layla attacked, Reba, laying her out with a suplex. Back suplex, that is. Cool. The pull apart brawl, it went on a bit long, but I don't mind how they did it. And then we get a package on Cody, Darby, Hobbs, and Team Taz. And oh boy, here we go. Darby arrives on a skateboard. And cool, I love Darby. I've met Darby multiple times. Cody's entrance is massive ego stroking. He cannot complain about Triple H's ego when he's doing this. Darby and Cody with Arn versus Starks. Hobbs with Taz. Cage shows up later. Very quick start and very quick break. It went to break like 30 seconds after it started. And Powerhouse Hobbs is a stupid name. I'm calling him Will Hobbs. Will Hobbs is his name. And I like Hobbs. I think Hobbs has a world of potential, which is why he'll be jobbing to Cody in about a month. But he's got great potential. He's got great power. He is what Ahmed Johnson should have been. Careful in the ring. I mean, strong, but somebody clay you can mold, so to speak. I like this Darby Starks feud. I do like it. I think they have a lot of... This actually probably is the best match on the card. The women worked really hard, but the interference is a little bit weird. The overhead ear throw by Hobbs, absolutely insane. Of course, Darby doesn't mind, putting his body in harm's way. And then Cody should stop trying to do the flippy shit. Cody's a very good athlete, but he really should not do that stuff. I did like, though, how he did the cutter. Darby had gotten the tag. He cut Starks. Starks got in position for the coffin drop. Cody did a dive on Hobbs. And then coffin drop 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. We then get a post-match beatdown. Arn tries to get in. Arn, for the love of God, one, they got to help Arn go on a diet. I'm worried about Arn because of his health, because of all that stuff. And also, he shouldn't be wrestling. He shouldn't be taking any kind of bumps. Now, they were being safe with him. They were. And then, Dustin comes in. And then Cage. And it's F5 to Dustin. And everything looks so lost. And then, Sting shows up. Tony Schiavone sounded legit shocked. And it was cool to hear Tony Schiavone announce Sting's name. Just say, Sting is going nuts. Sting back on TNT programming after nearly 19 years. Cool. Here's the thing. I'll get to this here in a little. I'll get to the main crux of my issue here in a little bit. Sting, he's like, he stares down Orange, stares down Darby. It's obvious we're going to go with Sting possibly mentoring Darby. Okay. Fine. Whatever. You had Sting show up. Cool. He should not have been. He was ruined. He was pretty much wrecked in WCW or in WCW. Well, actually, the last year in 2000, you fucking see how they used him. I'm amazed. No wonder you wanted to fucking phone it in. But anyway, in WWE, they fucking wrecked him. He just came in and lost to Triple H, and then that bad botch during the Seth Rollins match wasn't Seth Rollins' fault. It effectively ended his career. Got inducted in WWE Hall of Fame, and hey, he's free agent. He's there in AEW for an appearance, or so I fucking thought. He's in there. Tony Khan has announced it as a full-time, multi-year deal for a nearly 62-year-old guy with a stack of dimes neck that can't wrestle. They got people they should be pushing like crazy and using, and sign Jacob Fatu, sign Hammerstone, sign so many others. I'm not saying raid MLW, but there are so many people they could sign. So many people. Is Sting a big star? Yes, he is. Sting is one of the biggest icons in wrestling. He truly is. I'm a huge fan of Sting. 100% huge fan of Sting. Here's the problem. If I'm going to criticize how WWE has brought in, old guys after old guys, old guy after old guy after old guy, returning star, part-time, past their prime legends, just for a ratings pop, I got to kill AEW for it too. And here's why. Have him on a per appearance deal. Have him just where he'll come in, he'll make appearances, stuff like that. Cool. Sting, they better not have him wrestle. I'll say that much. If they have Sting wrestle, then that just makes the company WCW 2.0. This is where I started to have some issues, though. A full-time, multi-year deal. Like, are you intending to keep him around until, the length of your TV contract? I think in the end of 2023, or at least the middle of 2023. Why? Why is Sting there? And why in the world are people acting like, oh, it's such a great thing? It's a great thing if he mentors Darby, if he stays in the background and he just does some stuff. If they make it all around Sting and they just base it on, base the show around him and they make it where like, oh, he's the focal point. He's the focal point. Yes, he's the icon. Yes, he's all this. But come on, guys. I'm not going to get too thrilled about a 61, nearly 62-year-old guy appearing in AEW when they really should be focusing on young talent. Arn already has gotten too physically involved, and I love Arn, but he should not be physically involved. Jake Roberts, he really hasn't done much to help Lance Archer. He hasn't. Tully Blanchard has done what he could for Shawn Spears, but that's not really saying much. A lot of these legends they brought in are just kind of there. It just seems like money wasted. I'm not saying the Sting shouldn't have been brought in for a ratings pop, but you can only tap that nostalgia vein so many times before it runs dry, and then you're suddenly like, shit, we suddenly don't have, we don't have anything to show for it, except we spent a lot of money for a short-term fix, and now we have a whole bunch of superstars, a whole bunch of wrestlers that haven't really benefited from working with Sting. Now, I'm willing to say that Sting and Darby could work, but don't have him wrestle. I'm not the biggest fan of this. I'm sorry, guys, I'm not. You guys tread me in the comments if you want. I'm a huge Sting fan. But I don't think this is going to work the way they wanted. I just don't. Anyway, they replayed a few times. Next week, by the way, MJF versus Orange Cassie, the Diamond Ring match. Bucks versus Hybrid 2. Dustin versus 10. Inner Circle Ultimatum. FTR versus the Varsity Blondes, which is Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. I like that Varsity Blondes. I actually do like that. It's pretty damn good. Despite the fact Brian Pillman Jr. is part of MLW. I think they're just waiting until he can get out of his contract. Anyway, Abaddon next week. And then we get a Sheeta promo. Pipes fall and she acts scared of Abaddon. I'm excited to see this, and hopefully they put the belt on Abaddon. But build it up properly. You could nurse this along for a number of weeks. But feature Sheeta in a goddamn match and have her being spooked by Abaddon week after week to actually build it instead of stuff like this. This isn't the worst thing, but you had enough time to feature Sheeta in the match. Anyway, then Archer, Lucha Bros versus Kingston, Butcher, and Blade. Sting speaks. and hopefully doesn't break a hip. I love Sting, but no. Anyway, Moxley promo. Today it feels like a holiday. And all this stuff, talking about people flying in, big fight feel, all that. I'm going to make this place go absolutely banana. The ring boy banana, the Patterson. You know what? I'm not going to apologize for that. I don't fucking care. Anyway, Don Callis joins commentary. This is where I was like, oh, they're not going to fucking do this. They're not going to fucking do this. Don Callis, by the way, not a very good commentator. I'm going to make this quick, shockingly. One, you should check out most of this match. Omega's intro is ridiculous, but they had no inanimate objects holding the brooms. Omega and Moxley, AEW World Title, big fight feel. I gotta say, they did a whole lot of stuff. They spammed a whole lot of stuff. Yes, they kicked out of pretty much everything. It worked in this match because it was two guys, whether I like Omega or not. I'm not his biggest fan. It felt like two titans clashing. I give them credit for trying to make this a big fight feel. It wasn't my favorite match. I'm not going to put it on my favorite matches of the year list, even though I appreciate the efforts. I certainly liked it more than what they did at Full Gear last year. But there was some good, technical work from Mox, and Omega did some good strikes with some, good, his chops weren't that bad. His punches looked like shit, but the V-trigger, he can throw the fancy moves. He can do that. And paradigm shift, no cover. We get, we get a chair sit down spot. This is where it was stupid. They got the chairs. They sat down in them because Mox got the chairs and slap fight, punch fight. I don't know why they did that. It was kind of ridiculous, but whatever. And then we got two Snapdragons. We got a big lariat from Mox. We got a paradigm for two. Then we get a dive where V-trigger got hit. It wasn't the best spot, but it was what it was. Tiger Driver 98. Why did they do the heat spot? The spot where Omega got thrown to the heaters. This is where everything died. It fucking died. It absolutely died here. The ref calls the doctor. Callised comes down. And I wrote the rest of the notes here. Back in the ring, by the way, Mox throws him back in the ring. Callised is there. He's trying to get the mic to say he's hurt. Stop it. And then Moxley hits Callised, and the mic suddenly goes into Omega's hand. In not a very good way. Callised isn't a good commentary, and certainly not very good at... He may be good at being a VP at Impact Wrestling. Cool. He wasn't very good here. Then the mic's tossed to Omega. Hits Mox in the head. Bleeding. More V-triggers. One Wing Angel. 1, 2, 3. New champ. Thanks for coming, Mox. That's a great way to make his championship reign look great. Yes, they protected Mox, and they made Omega a heel, and they did all this. Callised and Omega leave, and the Khan's wondering what the hell is going on. They're trying to make it a fucking shoot because everything's got to be a shoot and a screw job involving Canadians because, of course, so this time the Canadians did the screw job correctly. And you find out what happens this Tuesday. Cool. Hey, maybe Jericho can main event an Impact Wrestling pay-per-view because he always joked about not being able to main event one because he wasn't 50 years old, but he is now. I mean, granted, he said that years ago. And then Eddie gets on the mic and just shouts some stuff, and that's the end of the show. Okay, I'm going to say this right now. Good on Impact Wrestling and AEW if they want to do a fucking, partnership. This ain't going to make me watch Impact Wrestling after it did that bullshit with some guy getting shot during a wedding angle. What the fuck was that? And I'm not going to listen to Josh Matthews do commentary. I'm not going to listen to that. I'm going to say this much right now. I'm not going to shred these notes. Well, actually, you know what? I will. And here's why I will. Because this did not make Omega look great. Sorry, it didn't. I don't mind the fact that they tried to make, this. I don't mind that they had Omega win. They should have had Omega fucking win. Omega should have. He should have cheated. They didn't need Callised involved in that. And I don't see how this is going to benefit. Yes, AEW and, Impact working together. I guess it's kind of cool. Here's the thing. Impact Wrestling is basically what it is right now. Is this really going to drum up a lot of interest? I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care. And to me, it's like the finger poke of doom. This is either going to push people towards AEW and Impact, or it's going to push people away. I really hope it doesn't push people away. I didn't like it. I pretty much fucking hated it. Anyway, agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rethlin. I'll see you soon.